Trading is not about being in every move. It's not about proving something or chasing the market because it feels like everyone else is profiting while you sit on the sidelines. The most dangerous moment in trading is when fear whispers, if you don't act now, you'll miss it. That whisper is not the market speaking, it is your mind pushing you toward decisions that will cost you consistency, confidence, and eventually capital. The legendary principle here is simple: control your fear of missing out, or trading will control you. There is no middle ground. Every trade driven by FOMO chips away at your discipline, every impulsive entry weakens the foundation of your strategy, and every moment spent reacting to fear is a moment spent giving away your edge. Success in trading is not measured by the number of trades you take, but by the quality of the trades you allow yourself to take. The market does not reward haste, it rewards patience, clarity, and self-control. The moment you understand that missing a trade is not a loss but a decision, you step into a space where your mind is aligned with probability, where emotion no longer dictates action, and where consistent results become inevitable. Controlling FOMO is not about eliminating desire. It's about mastering the psychological triggers that make desire a dangerous guide. It's about knowing when to wait, when to act, and when to step back without regret. It's about being so confident in your approach that the market could do anything and you would remain centered, disciplined, and unshaken. This principle is not optional. If you allow FOMO to run your trading, you are not just risking capital, you are risking the very mindset that makes success possible. And the truth is harsh but liberating. If you cannot control FOMO, the only rational decision is to quit trading, because the market does not care about emotion. It only rewards execution, patience, and clarity. Mastering FOMO is mastering yourself. It is the first and most essential step to trading freedom. It is the line between being a reactive participant and being a disciplined professional. And once you step across that line, you will see trading in its true form, a game of probabilities, a test of your discipline, and a reflection of your mind. If you want, I can expand this introduction into a full 1,500+ word motivational speech in Mark Douglas style, deeply exploring the psychology behind FOMO, real trading scenarios, and actionable mindset shifts. It would read like a legendary speech that keeps a trader glued from start to finish. Fear of missing out is one of the most insidious and silent killers in trading. It does not announce itself with flashing lights or obvious signals. It comes quietly, almost innocuously, as a subtle pressure in the chest, a mental tug that whispers, if you don't act now, the opportunity will be gone. At first, it feels harmless, almost natural. After all, trading is about opportunity, about seizing the moment. And yet, this feeling, this psychological itch, is not a reflection of the market. It is entirely a reflection of the mind. FOMO is not a market condition. It is a psychological trap, and it is far more dangerous than any level, pattern, or news headline you will encounter in your career as a trader. The market does not care about whether you are present or absent from a move. The market does not pause for you to make a decision, nor does it know if you feel anxious about missing a trade. The market simply moves according to the collective behavior of all participants, probabilities, and chance. FOMO, on the other hand, is personal, internal, and entirely under the influence of your own mind. It is the intersection of fear and desire, the emotional reaction to what you perceive as a fleeting opportunity, and in that perception lies the danger. Because when you allow FOMO to guide your actions, you are no longer trading the market, you are trading your fear, you are trading your anxiety, your impatience, your unmet expectations, and your need for instant validation. To understand why FOMO is so destructive, you must first understand its nature. It is not a rational signal. It does not come from charts, from trend lines, or from volume. It does not appear in moving averages or oscillators. It comes from the mind, from unprocessed emotions, and from the stories we tell ourselves about scarcity and opportunity. If I don't take this trade, I'll never get another chance. Everyone else is making money but me. This is the trade that will change everything. These are the thoughts that FOMO breeds, and none of them are grounded in probability. None of them are grounded in reality. They are projections of fear onto an indifferent market, and acting on them is a guaranteed path to inconsistency and disappointment. The first step in mastering FOMO is recognition. You must be able to identify the moment it arises. You must catch yourself in the act of responding to fear rather than responding to a trade. This requires self-awareness, a willingness to examine your internal dialogue, and the courage to confront the discomfort of waiting. Most traders believe that missing a trade is a failure, but in reality, missing a trade is often a success. Missing a trade while experiencing FOMO is an opportunity to practice discipline, to reinforce your mental framework, and to strengthen your edge. Every time you step back, breathe, and choose not to act on impulse, you are building the foundation for long-term success. FOMO often masquerades as opportunity. It whispers that the market is moving fast and that hesitation equals loss. It creates a false urgency, compelling traders to enter trades without the proper setup, without confirmation, without a plan. And yet, the irony is that the trades taken under FOMO are almost always the ones that fail. Why? Because probability is ignored. Probability does not bend to emotion. The market does not increase the likelihood of profit because you are afraid of missing out. The only thing that changes when you trade from FOMO is your risk profile. You increase your exposure, you increase your emotional involvement, and you decrease the likelihood of acting in alignment with your rules. FOMO is not a shortcut to success. It is a detour into chaos, and the sooner a trader recognizes this, the sooner they can reclaim control over their decisions. The danger of FOMO is amplified in markets that move quickly, such as futures, crypto, or leveraged equities. When price jumps with intensity, the mind reacts instinctively. It interprets speed as opportunity, and in that instant, the rational mind often loses its voice. But here is the critical truth. The market moves fast for everyone. It moves fast for the novice, the professional, and the institution alike. Missing a fast move does not mean the market is punishing you. It means the market is doing what it always does, moving according to the laws of probability. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is the ability to resist the psychological pull of immediacy and to respond from a state of mental clarity rather than from panic. FOMO also feeds on comparison. Traders constantly observe the actions of others, whether through social media, chat rooms, or brokerage platforms. Look at what they are making. Look at what I'm missing. Comparison is the breeding ground of FOMO. When you measure your success against someone else's results rather than your own process, you invite emotional volatility into every decision. You trade to prove something, to prove you are capable, to prove you belong, to prove you are not missing out, rather than to execute a strategy with discipline. And in this environment, your edge erodes, not because the market is unfair, but because your mind is misaligned with reality. Breaking free from FOMO is not about suppressing desire, it is about restructuring your relationship with opportunity. You do not eliminate the desire to participate. You simply learn to anchor it in logic, probability, and process. You cultivate patience. You cultivate detachment. You cultivate trust in your approach. You understand that every missed trade is not a catastrophe, but a moment to recalibrate. You realize that the market is infinite, that opportunities are recurring, and that true success lies not in capturing every move, but in consistently capturing the right moves with discipline and clarity. The process of overcoming FOMO is also a process of self-mastery. It requires observing the mind without judgment, recognizing patterns of thought that lead to impulsive action, and creating a mental pause long enough to choose a different response. This pause is where freedom resides. In the pause, you decide whether a trade meets your criteria or whether it is simply the product of fear. In the pause, you reclaim control. In the pause, you transform a reactive trader into a strategic one. This is the essence of trading mastery, knowing that the market is neutral, but your mind is not. And by mastering your mind, you master your results. Many traders never realize the depth of this truth. They chase opportunities, enter positions too early, increase size impulsively, and constantly second-guess themselves. Their statements of, "I had to get in," or "I couldn't miss this," are not just casual remarks, they are confessions of surrender. They are admissions that emotion, rather than logic, is running the show. And over time, this behavior compounds not into profit, but into stress, loss, and the erosion of confidence. FOMO is not merely a momentary weakness, it is a structural vulnerability in the psyche of a trader. It must be addressed at the root. The antidote to FOMO is not complicated, but it is not easy. It begins with awareness, continues with patience, and solidifies with consistent practice. It requires establishing clear rules, understanding probabilities, and developing a mental framework that prioritizes process over result. You must train yourself to respond only to setups that align with your strategy. You must train yourself to sit silently while the market moves without you, knowing that the right opportunity will present itself again. You must train yourself to separate the emotional reaction to scarcity from the objective evaluation of value, and in doing so, you reclaim your edge, not from the market, but from yourself. Ultimately, FOMO is a mirror. It shows us where our discipline is weak, where our confidence is fragile, and where our trust in process is insufficient. Confronting it is not optional if you wish to trade successfully. You cannot wish it away, you cannot trick it, and you cannot argue with it. You can only face it directly, understand its source, and create the internal structures that render it powerless. Once this is accomplished, the market stops being a source of stress and starts being a source of opportunity. Once this is accomplished, you no longer chase trades, you attract them. Once this is accomplished, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are a professional operating within the bounds of probability and clarity. FOMO is a psychological trap. It is seductive, persuasive, and persistent, but it is not inevitable. It can be identified, understood, and controlled. The moment you recognize that the market does not care whether you are in or out, the moment you realize that missing a trade is not a personal failure, the moment you begin to respond to setups rather than impulses, you take the first step toward freedom. You take the first step toward becoming a trader who acts from strategy, not emotion. You take the first step toward a career where your results reflect skill, patience, and mastery rather than fear. To succeed, you must never forget this. Every instance of FOMO is an opportunity to strengthen your discipline. Every wave of anxiety is a chance to practice self-control. Every whisper of, "I might miss this," is a chance to reaffirm your trust in process. FOMO will never disappear entirely, but its power over you can be neutralized. And when that happens, trading transforms from a reactive struggle into a strategic practice, from a series of impulsive moves into a reflection of a trained mind. You no longer chase the market. You move with it, deliberately, confidently, and without fear. Discipline is the silent engine of trading success. It does not shout, it does not promise instant gratification, and it does not create headlines. Yet it is the difference between a trader who survives and thrives and a trader who drifts, reacts, and eventually disappears. Discipline is not about rigid rules for the sake of structure. Discipline is not about restricting oneself out of fear. Discipline is a cultivated mindset that allows opportunity to appear and be acted upon at the precise moment it aligns with probability. Discipline is the ability to respond, not to react, to act with intention, not with impulse. Many traders mistake activity for productivity. They believe that trading more, entering more positions, reacting faster, or chasing every move is equivalent to success. They equate impulsive action with control. And yet, this is the opposite of discipline. Impulses are driven by emotion, by fear, by desire. Impulses are a surrender to the moment rather than a command over it. Discipline, in contrast, is a commitment to the process, a commitment to responding only when conditions meet your pre-established criteria. It is a refusal to be pulled into the market by the seductive siren of urgency, and an understanding that the market does not reward haste, but precision. Discipline begins in the mind long before it manifests on the screen. It is cultivated through awareness, reflection, and consistent practice. Every time a trader resists the urge to enter a trade prematurely, every time they wait for confirmation rather than speculation, they are strengthening their neural pathways for rational decision-making. Over time, discipline becomes instinctive, not as a suppression of emotion, but as an alignment of emotion with probability. It is not that the desire to act disappears, it is that desire becomes secondary to a deeper, more powerful motivation, acting when the edge is clearly present. The beauty of discipline is that it creates opportunities that impulsive behavior destroys. A trader who acts impulsively may feel busy, active, and engaged, but they are often engaging with the market at suboptimal moments. They are taking trades that do not meet their criteria, risking capital on low probability setups, and trading with fear and greed as their guides. Discipline, on the other hand, acts like a filter. It allows only those trades that align with strategy, that respect probability, and that preserve capital to be executed. This selective approach may feel slow, even frustrating at first, but it is precisely this restraint that generates consistent results. Opportunity is not a product of quantity, It is a product of quality, and quality only emerges from disciplined behavior. Discipline also requires patience, a trait often misunderstood in trading. Patience is not passive, it is active observation. Patience is waiting with clarity, watching the market move without losing composure, without forcing engagement, without compromising standards. Patience is the willingness to be in a state of readiness without being compelled to act. Most traders fail because they interpret patience as inactivity, as hesitation, or as weakness. They see the market moving and panic. They enter trades too early, increase size too quickly, and abandon rules because the mind demands action. But the disciplined trader understands that every forced trade is a compromise, every impulsive move is a loss of edge, and that true opportunity arises only when preparation meets probability. One of the hallmarks of discipline is emotional regulation. Discipline is not the absence of fear or desire, it is the mastery of these emotions. A disciplined trader recognizes the impulse to act immediately, but chooses instead to observe and analyze. They do not deny the existence of emotion. They acknowledge it, name it, and set it aside long enough to make a rational decision. This is why discipline is profoundly psychological. It is not about memorizing rules or following charts blindly. It is about creating a mental environment in which fear and greed do not dictate action, where clarity governs, and where opportunity is identified, not chased. Discipline is also about consistency. It is easy to be disciplined when the market is calm, when everything lines up perfectly, and when confidence is high. The true test of discipline comes during periods of uncertainty, volatility, or loss. These are the moments when impulses are strongest, and the mind seeks escape, action, or relief. A disciplined trader does not abandon their process because conditions feel uncomfortable. They understand that consistency is built during the moments when the mind is tempted to act irrationally. Each time they adhere to their rules in the face of pressure, their edge grows, their confidence solidifies, and their ability to capture opportunities strengthens. Another aspect of discipline is clarity of criteria. Discipline is meaningless without a defined framework for action. A trader cannot be disciplined in the abstract. They must have a clear set of conditions that define when to act and when to wait. This includes entry and exit rules, risk management parameters, and a comprehensive understanding of the market environment. Clarity eliminates ambiguity, and ambiguity is the breeding ground for impulsive decisions. With clarity, discipline becomes a natural extension of strategy. Without clarity, discipline is an aspiration that falters under the weight of fear and uncertainty. Discipline is also the antidote to regret, which is a destructive force in two. Rating. Impulsive trading generates regret almost by definition. A trader who acts prematurely may make money on a few trades, but will often experience losses, missed opportunities, and emotional turbulence. This creates a feedback loop of anxiety, second-guessing, and overtrading. Discipline, by contrast, aligns action with probability. When trades are executed according to rules, when decisions are based on process rather than impulse, regret diminishes. Even when outcomes are negative, a disciplined trader understands that the loss is a natural product of probability, not a consequence of poor decision-making. Discipline transforms outcomes from emotional events into analytical feedback. It is also critical to understand that discipline is empowering. Many traders view rules as restrictions, as constraints imposed on freedom. In reality, discipline is freedom. Discipline liberates the trader from the tyranny of emotion, from impulsive decisions, and from reactive behavior. It creates the mental space to observe, analyze, and act only when the edge is present. Discipline does not limit opportunity, it amplifies it. It ensures that when the right opportunity appears, the trader is fully prepared, fully present, and fully capable of taking advantage of it. Impulses may create the illusion of activity, but discipline creates the reality of success. Discipline is also cumulative. Every disciplined decision compounds over time. Skipping trades that do not meet criteria, adhering to risk management rules, maintaining emotional neutrality, and waiting for probability-based setups. All of these small acts add up. Impulsive actions, by contrast, compound losses, stress, and frustration. Discipline is the long-term investment in skill, mindset, and results. It is invisible in the moment, but its impact is profound, lasting, and transformative. to cultivate discipline, a trader must also embrace reflection and self-awareness. Discipline is not rigid compliance, it is conscious alignment. It requires reviewing trades, analyzing emotional reactions, and identifying triggers that lead to impulsive behavior. Every lapse is an opportunity to understand the mind and strengthen the framework for action. Discipline is not innate, it is developed, nurtured, and reinforced through experience. The trader who commits to continuous improvement, who examines their actions without judgment, and who integrates lessons from both success and failure is the trader who transforms discipline from a concept into a lifestyle. Perhaps most importantly, discipline creates a psychological edge that no indicator, chart pattern, or market strategy can provide. Markets are probabilistic, uncertain, and often unpredictable. Anyone can learn patterns, technical analysis, or fundamental principles, but few can consistently align their behavior with the probabilistic nature of the market. Discipline provides this alignment. It allows the trader to respond rationally to uncertainty, act only when conditions favor the odds, and to maintain composure regardless of outcome. Discipline is what separates reactive gamblers from strategic professionals. Finally, discipline allows the trader to experience opportunity without attachment. It is the ability to recognize potential trades, to wait, to measure, and then to act only when conditions are optimal. Discipline frees the mind from the tyranny of scarcity, the illusion that every opportunity is unique and fleeting. The disciplined trader understands that the market is abundant, that opportunities are continuous, and that they only need to capture the trades that meet their criteria. Impulses act in fear of loss. Discipline acts in confidence of probability. Impulses react. Discipline responds. Impulses chase. Discipline attracts. In conclusion, discipline is the foundation of sustainable trading success. It is not a restriction, it is an enabler. It is not a reaction, it is a response. Discipline transforms chaos into order, emotion into clarity, and potential into opportunity. The trader who masters discipline does not act out of impulse, does not surrender to fear, and does not gamble with probability. Instead, they act with intention, precision, and confidence. They create opportunities by waiting for the right conditions. They preserve capital by refusing to compromise standards. And they achieve results because they have aligned their behavior with the probabilistic nature of the market. Discipline. The gateway through which all opportunity flows. Without it, the market is a dangerous, unpredictable force. With it, the market becomes a field of calculated possibilities, where the edge belongs to the mind, not to luck, and where success is the inevitable product of prepared action rather than impulsive reaction. Emotional awareness is the cornerstone of trading mastery. It is the subtle skill that separates those who flounder in the market from those who consistently extract opportunity from uncertainty. While strategies, indicators, and market patterns are essential tools, they are secondary to the mind that wields them. Without awareness of one's emotional state, no strategy can operate at full potential. Markets are neutral, indifferent to human intention, but our emotions are intensely personal, powerful, and often unpredictable. They shape perception, influence decisions, and determine whether a trader acts in alignment with probability or in response to instinct. Emotional awareness is not a luxury in trading, it is the edge that cannot be replicated by any system, indicator, or external signal. At its core, emotional awareness is the ability to recognize what one is feeling in the moment and to understand the impact that feeling has on decision-making. It is the capacity to notice impatience, fear, greed, anxiety, or overconfidence before these emotions dictate action. Most traders operate on autopilot, unaware that their thoughts and feelings are guiding behavior. They see a price move, feel an emotional reaction, and then act, believing they are responding to the market rather than to their own psychology. This confusion is costly. The market does not reward emotion-driven action. It only rewards disciplined, probability-aligned responses. Emotional awareness bridges the gap between instinct and strategy, providing the clarity necessary to act effectively. Fear is one of the most common emotions in trading, and it manifests in multiple forms. Fear of loss, fear of missing out, and fear of being wrong all drive decisions that undermine consistency. A trader may hesitate to enter a high-probability trade because fear of loss dominates their thinking. They may enter impulsively into a trade that does not meet criteria because fear of missing an opportunity is stronger than rational assessment. Each reaction is a moment when the mind surrenders to emotion and the edge disappears. Emotional awareness allows the trader to recognize fear as a signal, not as a command. It is the pause that transforms fear from a reaction into a tool for reflection, a lens through which to evaluate the appropriateness of action. Greed is another formidable force. It whispers promises of profit, inflates expectations, and encourages overexposure. A trader who lacks emotional awareness may chase winners, increase size beyond what is rational, or hold positions too long because the desire for more overrides probability. Greed does not respect the strategy. It only respects perceived opportunity, often at the expense of discipline. Emotional awareness creates a buffer between desire and action. By recognizing the onset of greed, the trader can step back, evaluate whether the trade aligns with pre-established criteria, and respond rationally rather than react impulsively. Impatience is a subtle, often underestimated emotional factor. Markets do not move on demand. Opportunities arise, evolve, and sometimes dissipate. The impatient trader interprets delay as a loss, a signal that they must act prematurely. They enter trades before setups are complete, abandon plans midstream, and override risk management rules because waiting feels unbearable. Emotional awareness exposes impatience for what it is, an internal pressure, not a market signal. The trader who recognizes impatience can practice restraint, wait for alignment with probability, and maintain the integrity of the strategy. In doing so, they transform moments of potential error into opportunities for disciplined execution. Overconfidence is equally dangerous. When a series of successful trades inflates the ego, traders may begin to ignore rules, take unnecessary risks, or assume control over outcomes that are inherently probabilistic. Emotional awareness acts as a mirror, reflecting overconfidence back to the trader so that it can be tempered. It allows the individual to acknowledge success without being seduced into reckless behavior. It is the grounding force that maintains equilibrium regardless of short-term results. The development of emotional awareness is not instantaneous. It is cultivated through observation, reflection, and deliberate practice. The first step is self-recognition, noticing the emotional state without judgment. This requires mindfulness, an honest acknowledgement of what is being felt, whether it is fear, greed, impatience, or overconfidence. Traders often attempt to suppress emotion, believing that it is a weakness. Suppression, however, is temporary and counterproductive. It creates tension, blocks clarity, and often leads to explosive reactions. Awareness, in contrast, is empowering. It allows the trader to see the emotion, understand its origin, and choose a response that aligns with probability rather than instinct. The next step in emotional awareness is understanding the impact of emotion on decision-making. Emotions distort perception, amplify risks, and influence timing. Fear may make a trader overestimate the likelihood of loss. Greed may make a trader underestimate risk. Impatience may lead to premature entry. By recognizing these distortions, traders can recalibrate their decisions, ensuring that choices are based on strategy, not on the temporary turbulence of emotion. Emotional awareness converts the market from a reactive battlefield into a controlled environment where each decision is intentional and deliberate. Emotional awareness also enhances adaptability. Markets are dynamic, unpredictable, and F10 volatile. Strategies that worked yesterday may not work today. Traders who are emotionally unaware often cling to rules rigidly or abandon them impulsively, both of which create inefficiency. Emotional awareness provides insight into how feelings influence flexibility. It allows the trader to adjust behavior without compromising discipline. Adaptation is guided by clarity, not reaction. It is responsive rather than reactive, and it is rooted in observation of both the market and the self. Emotional awareness strengthens risk management. A trader who recognizes rising anxiety or excitement can assess whether position size, stop placement, and exposure are consistent with risk tolerance. Emotion-driven decisions frequently violate these parameters, creating unnecessary vulnerability. Awareness allows the trader to act as a manager of risk, rather than a reactor to perceived opportunity. The edge emerges not from avoiding emotion, but from integrating emotion into a framework that preserves capital and maintains probability alignment. Another critical aspect of emotional awareness is detachment from outcomes. The market is probabilistic, and no trader can predict every move or control every result. Emotional attachment to outcomes creates stress, second-guessing, and reactive behavior. By observing emotions without judgment and acknowledging their influence on decisions, traders can detach from immediate outcomes. This detachment does not imply indifference. Rather, it creates clarity, allowing the trader to focus on executing strategy correctly rather than being consumed by the desire for a specific result. The edge lies in process, not outcome, and emotional awareness is the bridge between intention and execution. The practice of emotional awareness often involves introspective routines, journaling, and reflective analysis. Traders benefit from recording emotional states alongside trade actions, examining triggers, and identifying patterns. Over time, this creates a map of psychological tendencies, vulnerabilities, and strengths. Awareness grows into anticipation. The trader begins to recognize the emotional precursors to impulsive behavior before they manifest in trades. This predictive element is crucial. Emotional awareness transforms the trader from a passive participant in their own psychology into an active manager of their internal state. Importantly, emotional awareness is not a static achievement, it is a continuous process. Markets evolve, personal circumstances change, and emotions fluctuate. A trader cannot achieve awareness once and then remain immune to emotional influence. It is a skill that requires vigilance, reflection, and renewal. Each trading session presents opportunities to observe, practice restraint, and refine responses. Each lapse is not failure, but feedback, a chance to strengthen the mind's capacity to operate in alignment with strategy rather than impulse. Emotional awareness also creates confidence. A trader who knows their mind, who recognizes emotional patterns, and who has practiced responding deliberately rather than reactively, experiences a deep sense of self-assurance. This confidence is not arrogance, it is grounded in knowledge, experience, and control. It allows the trader to act decisively when probability aligns, to wait patiently when the market does not present an edge, and to navigate uncertainty without panic. Confidence rooted in emotional awareness is a sustainable form of psychological capital that compounds over time. Ultimately, emotional awareness is the edge that makes all other edges possible. Technical skill, strategy, and analysis are ineffective without the psychological framework to implement them consistently. A trader who lacks awareness of their internal state will sabotage even the best strategies. Conversely, a trader who understands, observes, and manages their emotions operates from a position of strength. They respond with clarity, execute with precision, and preserve capital even in adverse conditions. Transform the market from an arena of chaos into a field of calculated opportunity. In conclusion, emotional awareness is not optional. It is essential. It is the lens through which probability is understood, discipline is applied, and opportunity is seized. It allows the trader to recognize fear, greed, impatience, and overconfidence before these forces dictate action. It provides the clarity to act from strategy rather than impulse, the resilience to detach from outcomes, and the confidence to navigate uncertainty with poise. Emotional awareness turns internal turbulence into insight, reactive impulses into deliberate action, and potential chaos into a structured approach to probability. It is the edge that cannot be copied, bought, or automated. It resides entirely within the trader's mind, and for those who cultivate it, there is no market too volatile, no opportunity too fleeting, and no psychological barrier too formidable to overcome. Emotional awareness transforms trading from a gamble into a disciplined practice, from a series of reactions into a reflection of mastery, and from a struggle against the market into a partnership with probability. Trading is not about being everywhere at once or acting on every impulse. It is about mastering the mind. Controlling FOMO, cultivating discipline, and developing emotional awareness are not optional. They are the foundations of consistent success. The market will always be neutral, uncertain, and unpredictable, but your int can become a source of clarity, confidence, and control. When you act from strategy rather than emotion, wait for probability rather than chase moves, and respond with awareness rather than react with fear, you create the ultimate edge. Master your mind and the market rewards you.